Hello Horror Hounds. I hope you guys enjoyed part 1 of ranking the deaths in the Jaws franchise. We got from 20 up to 11, which means that things are getting really serious now with the top 10 deaths in the Jaws films. And in at number 10 is Terry, the water skier from Jaws 2. Now, I know at the end there we get the old standby that we've seen in the bottom half of the list of cutting between shaky footage of an actual great white shark and an actor underwater doing this and then put some red in the water. But before then, I think there's a really nice build-up of tension. There's a fantastic use of the fin. The fin gets used excellently in the much underappreciated Jaws 2. And the whole idea of a car chase shark attack really appeals to me. It's actually done even better in Hank Searle's novelisation of Jaws 2, which I highly recommend. And I've done a video where I've talked about his novelisations for Jaws 2 and Jaws the Revenge, which I'll link to below. In the novelisation, the driver of the speedboat sees the shark and knows what's happening, but can't signal to the skier and can't slow down to get her back on the boat, otherwise she's dead. It's superb in the novel, it's great fun in the film, that's why it's my number 10 spot. Just above that, at number 9, is actually an off-screen death, and it's Ben Gardner. Now, this is the highest ranking off-screen death, and if you've seen the part 1 video to this, you'll know that I've ranked off-screen deaths relatively low for obvious reasons. The reason Ben Gardner is so high is twofold. One, by the time we discover that he's dead, I'd say he's been a reasonably well-established C or D level character. We know Ben Gardner, we love Ben Gardner. Hell, Martin Brody loves Ben Gardner, so I love Ben Gardner. The second is that when that head pops out of that hole, it's an amazing scare, and it also leaves you wondering, playing out the scenario in your head of what happened when Ben Gardner came face to face with that shark. It's an untold story of Jaws, and for that tantalizing hint of more to the story, other aspects of it that we're not privy to, it makes number 9. At number 8, for sheer fun, is the helicopter pilot from Jaws 2. Yes, I know it's dumb. I know it's a little bit silly. The shark attacks the helicopter, but you also remember it, right? You remember the time when the shark pulled the helicopter underwater. But the real reason the pilot's death makes number 8 for me, and you might think this is a little bit of a cheat, and you might well be right, but it's because of the deleted scene where you actually see more of what happens to the pilot. Because yeah, the helicopter's upside down, but now he's still trapped in the cockpit of the helicopter as it's full of water with a shark outside. Check out the deleted scene to see why his death has made it to number 8. Still a little hokey, yes, I will admit, but the thought of simultaneously drowning, being trapped underwater, and trying to stop yourself from being eaten by a giant killer shark that's trying to get into the confined space that you're already drowning in is nightmare fuel. Talking about nightmare fuel, at number 7, it's Philip Fitzroyce from Jaws 3D. He's alive inside the shark. He's in the shark's throat. We're in the shark's throat. And he's still alive, and the teeth and he can't get out, and it is just to the 12-year-old probably, or around then, me, that saw that, possibly the most horrific thing that I could have imagined at the time. The possibility of hope that you could maybe somehow get back beyond those teeth that are closing like elevator doors in front of you. Oh my goodness. At number 6 from Jaws 2, it's Eddie Martian's death.
Jesus! Eddie, swim! Swim fast! It's a shark, Eddie! Swim!
It's a real shame to cut that clip up into little snippets. It's an act of vandalism. That scene builds and plays out like many of the standout kills in Jaws 2 do. In an almost Hitchcockian fashion, it just ratchets and ratchets. That is one of the most visceral for me. The actress that plays Tina sells the sheer terror of it completely, and just again, it's the hope. It's the dangling little carrot that, well, if I was in that ship, maybe I could get back to the boat before the shark. No, you've got no chance. And even then, if you did, you're still dead. It's just this nihilistic, fatalistic acceptance that this character is going to die out of his element in the water, where the apex predator, great white shark, is just going to pluck you like fruit from a tree. It's horrible. So, before we move into the top 5, which I've agonized over, we're going to have an honorable mention, because anyone keeping track will notice that there's a death missing, and it's a death from Jaws the Revenge. And some of you will already be going, you're not putting a death from Jaws the Revenge in the top 5, are you? No, I'm not. Jake from Jaws the Revenge, his death gets an honourable mention. Here's his death. Yep, he's pretty dead, right? So why doesn't he make the list? In some versions of Jaws the Revenge, and there are many different alternate versions, almost as if someone were trying to polish a turd. And I will link to a video that lays out all the different differences between the versions of Jaws the Revenge. Watch that, it's an excellent video. It's where I got this clip from. In some versions, Jake survives. Check this out.
It's all right, I'm okay. Michael, you got a minute?
What took it so damn long, man?
What the hell are you doing alive, huh?
This is happening.
So from now on, we're gonna study snails, eh?
That's right, folks. Dragged underwater by an enormous great white shark, bleeding from multiple lacerations and bite wounds, and probably seconds away from terminal shock. He's making jokes about snails. Mario Van Peebles' character Jake, resurrected from an obvious death, makes him the president of a small club, peopled also by Ken Foree from Leatherface, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, LL Cool J from Halloween H20, and Busta Rhymes from Halloween Resurrection, of characters that obviously die and were obviously ridiculously brought back in reshoots. I'm sure there are other members of the club. There may have even been earlier members than Mario Van Peebles. Jake from Jaws the Revenge. Off the top of my head, I can't think of them, but I like to think once a year those four actors get together over a very sumptuous dinner, drink some excellent wine, and talk about how their characters should have died. Let's move into the top 5. Jaws is my favourite film of all time. I've really struggled with placing these, and I will probably, after uploading it, change my mind on a daily basis as to whether I've got it right or not. Bear in mind, there are no real right or wrongs, and go easy on me if you disagree, but at number 5, from Jaws, Alex Kintner. What could have been our first look at the shark is instead a weird mess of fins and spraying blood, and Alex's little body doing that, and later on we see him getting dragged down into the bloody water. It is a moment of abject horror. In the days of, well, God, when you went to go and see it at the cinema, it was over. You weren't really sure what you'd seen. In the days of VHS, when I had it on VHS and became obsessed with Jaws, I'd rewind it and try and watch it back again in slow-mo to work out exactly what I was seeing. Are these the pectoral fins? Is there a dorsal fin? Is it the tail? And it's the point where you truly get, you kind of get your first glimpse of the shark, I guess, and it doesn't make sense. You can't process it in your brain. That's part of the horror of it for me. But this moment of sheer horror of not really understanding quite what you've seen easily puts Alex Kintner into the top 5 at number 5. Edging Alex out again from Jaws is the mighty Quint. It's the mouth. Oh, good God, the mouth that won't stop. It is horror. It's pure terror. Robert Shaw sells it. He absolutely sells it. Roy Scheider sells it. The reason Quint's death, and it is visceral, it's bloody, it's horrible, it's drawn out, it's desperately nasty. The reason it's as low as 4, and I would consider 4 for Quint's death as pretty damn low, and I imagine some of you will disagree with me on this. The reason it's low at number 4 is because for some people this is the point when the shark obviously becomes unreal. They can't suspend their disbelief for long enough. For me, it's not a problem. By the time I'm at that point, the film has me. I mean, the film always had me, but by this point, I'm willing to go with accepting the effects that they had at the time. That's fine. But it's an example of once you reveal something, part of its terror is perhaps diminished. The fear in your mind is more powerful than the physical reality of something. So even though this is one of my top 5 favourites, Quint's at number 4. Do you tell me, am I wrong? Because above Quint, I put Marge from Jaws 2. As with earlier clips from Jaws 2, just snipping up a few seconds here or there of that scene doesn't do it the full justice. The whole scene, as it plays out and as it develops with multiple people in the water and the shark circling and who's it going to be, and the music swells to the inevitable, eventual rise of the beast, the overhead shot of it underwater coming up, 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 and cutting away before it breaches the surface, which is a masterstroke, and then from behind seeing it rise up. You can see the jaws clamp down and Marge just disappears and everyone screams. It's a crescendo to a very tense scene, and it's one of those times where almost the horror is in the amorality of the shark, the uncaring nature of nature. Marge didn't deserve to die. You really don't want her to die. The shark, nature, the universe doesn't care. She's gone. And like that, she's just gone. Terrifying. At number 2, a character that wasn't given a name. It's from Jaws, the estuary victim. That's the moment when I first watched Jaws that the film got its hooks into me, and those hooks, they've never been prized off, and I would never want them to. Jaws had me in its embrace at that moment. That's the first clear idea you get of the shark, especially when it's underwater. Because that foot or so of water is hiding the flaws of the model. To my eyes, it's always looked real. And you think, the first thought that goes through your head is, it's huge, my God, it's huge. And then it just pulls him out. And again, it's the brevity, it's the briefness. Can you imagine seeing this when it came out at the cinema without being able to pause or rewind, and you just see it underwater, and then you're back and you're like, my God, what was that? That was the shark is fucking huge. And then you're on the beach hearing him screaming, and then for a couple of seconds you just cut back, and yes, you were right. What you thought you saw, you were right, because here it is, and it is huge, and it's eating people, and he gets dragged down. Wonderful. I really tussled as to whether or not to put that at number 1. But the number 1 spot, and I will talk about it, and then we'll end with the clip, is the first victim, Chrissy Watkins. Such a simple gag. There's no shark. There's a stunt woman in the water. There's a diver beneath her to yank her down. It's 3 days of filming. There's her in a harness with a couple of guys with ropes on the beach pulling her this way and that. I would say in microcosm, this scene is Jaws. The uncaring, cruel sea, the defenseless human being, and the huge predatory animal that's not good or bad. It's just instinct. It's doing what it's doing, and we are its prey and crying out to God for help. It's so nihilistic. The unknown being eaten while you're already vulnerable, naked, in the sea, wounded. Just it's the fact that he nibbles on her, takes a bit, takes another bit, shakes her around a bit, probably hasn't eaten human flesh before, so is sampling her, completely deaf to her pleas to an absentee God for help. Susan Blacklinney is the actress, and it's all down to her. She sells it magnificently. The sheer, undiluted horror of it. I've been doing this channel for 2.5 years now, talking about horror. If you want a true metaphor for horror, watch this. Chrissy Watkins' death at the very start of Jaws. In my opinion, the number 1 death in the entire Jaws franchise. Please enjoy her work.
Oh, God, no, please!